I'd like to talk with you guys a little bit about what is happening surrounding Adam Silver, because you guys say don't follow the legend, Nick Saban, don't follow the legend, Bill Belichick. And the way Adam Silver followed the legend, David Stern, was by being so bold, or appearing so bold, I should say, appearing so bold. Because when he took the team from Donald Sterling, it was actually a very easy decision because all the other owners wanted him to do that because they hated Donald Sterling. Donald Sterling was an embarrassment to all the other owners for a long time.
Except for Mark Cuban, funny enough.
And the position that Adam Silver now finds himself in is an interesting one, because I thought once upon a time he was a progressive, modern leader who was younger than David Stern, who would be allied to the players, more gentle, wouldn't be iron-fisted dictator.
You don't believe that anymore?
Well, he's just gotten old, right? Adam Silver has aged during the tenure in a way that might make him make a few of the mistakes that he made when he called it a highlight league. He's walked some of that back here recently because he had to. When you've signed this much in television contracts, you cannot tell your television partners that it's a highlight league on the internet. Let's listen to Adam Silver walking some of that back before we get to some other Adam Silver comments, because he's been caught off guard by Pablo Torre's reporting that is so thorough that it has showed that Adam Silver benefited from a soft media for the last few years, that he's smarter than usually in the way that we cover some of these things, but he's been behind Pablo Torre, and Pablo Torre has made some of the things that he has said look bad with new information. But let's get some walking back here, some backpedaling on Adam Silver calling his league a highlight league.
He has said that. You have said you hadn't heard of Aspiration before.
That's the wrong sound, the other sound.
Okay, I thought you were talking about
Highlight League is what I said. We'll get to the Adam Silver responding to Aspiration in a second, but the Highlight League backtrack is the one that I wanted first.
A portion of the question, the end of the question, was about the impact of social media. That's what I was answering on our sport. And what I was saying in a very positive way, and I think it's additive to those who watch our games live and increases the likelihood that they'll watch our games live. By saying highlights-based, I meant, when I watch the traditional sports center, and they have the top 10 plays, and 5 of those are NBA plays, I'm like, yeah, I'm not thinking like, oh, damn, like more highlights are being promoted from our league. I mean, conventionally, the reaction that was like, that's really good. It's a live game full of highlights. I mean, by definition, highlights aren't necessarily past tense. I mean, like when the NBA games are packed with action, and I guess it was misconstrued, but the point I was trying to make is that there is this community of social media followers, frankly, globally estimated at roughly around 2.5 billion people connect with the NBA in some way.
I think he's full of crap. I think he's full of crap because he says there that, if you remember what the question was, I was answering about social media. I have the question. You want to hear what the question was? This was back after the owners' meeting, which was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. The actual question was, it's becoming very expensive to watch the NBA as a fan, not just to go to games, but also in order to, there's different streaming services you have to subscribe to. Some of the RSNs are expensive. I know there are points of entry for fans to interact with the NBA. There's social media, a lot of younger fans. That is how they're experiencing the sport. But I wonder how much you think about that and how that will shape the next generation of fans. That's a question about cost. He's full of crap.
Not the only time that he's full of crap, because let's go to the original sound that Adam Silver gave us before Pablo Torre's additional reporting that made all of this sound very foolish.
The podcast came out. It was news to me. I'd frankly never heard of the company Aspiration before, and I'd never heard a whiff of anything around an endorsement deal with Kawhi or anything around engagement with the Los Angeles Clippers. So it was all new to me.
And that didn't seem right at the time, and it proved to not be right when Pablo Torre reported what he did. And so this is what Adam Silver had to say after that.
He has said that. You have said you hadn't heard of Aspiration before. But a $300 million deal with the team, the team was going to be like a jersey patch sponsor. They had Aspiration on the back of the courtside seats. I think Pablo...
Just to be clear, I'm not sure if I said if I said I never heard of it, I meant in the context of the accusations here. I mean, I certainly was aware of the brand, but I didn't know anything about
Got it, yes, because I think just earlier today, Pablo tweeted, he said that because it was a $300 million deal, it was a founding sponsorship agreement. And those, as I would expect, have to be approved at the league level.
Why is he lying? I mean, like you can't be any clearer than, quote, I've never heard of the company Aspiration. Why
is he lying? Because the truth makes everybody look really terrible. The truth, allegedly, why is everyone lying? Because the truth is, and I know this is complicated thicket of information, because it is rare in my lifetime to see a journalist put in the work in sports that would come close to a smoking gun on things the seventh richest person in the world is trying to hide. Usually we can't get close to those things. The corridors of power in sports and around money in general make it that there is just these giant gulfs between the people who are running sports and the people covering sports. And we're not actually allowed near many of the guard gates, never mind through them. So Pablo Torre's reporting on this, if it is factual that Ballmer put in tens of millions of dollars, should make this one of the biggest sports scandals that we've seen in a decade, and the biggest one in that sport, non-crime division, and there is the accusations here are not crimes around.
That's a big asterisk, non-crime division, because there have been a lot of gambling scandals in the NBA, like just these past 2 years.
Well, you tell me.
Sterling was pretty big.
Yes, it was.
I think that was over a decade ago, though. At this point,
Donaghy.
Sterling was pretty big, and I would say that it was pretty big because of what the commissioner did. If the commissioner did the same thing here, this one would be as big. It doesn't have the racial elements, but it would be as big if they got rid of the owner, which they're not going to do.
I'm glad that you mentioned Sterling, because Silver came out of the gates getting a lot of credit for his handling of Donald Sterling and being more progressive than any of the other commissioners when it came to gambling. But in retrospect, that seemed like we were moving in that direction either way. So he bought a lot with how he handled Donald Sterling. Do you remember how poorly he handled Robert Sarver and what the initial punishment was?
I don't remember.
Just a year-long suspension. While Chris Paul and LeBron James came out and heavily criticized what went on with Robert Sarver and how it was allowed to do. You remember what pushed Bud Selig out? It feels like, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but people weren't happy with that All-Star Game fiasco. The NBA's got its own All-Star Game fiasco. In fact, the NBA has bigger problems right now. Style of play, ratings way down, load management. These are all things that happen on Adam Silver's watch.
This is his NBA.
This is his NBA. And now you add the Kawhi thing to this. Let's not forget the Daryl Morey China thing. There have been a lot of bad things that have happened to this man's resume, when just a few years ago, along the time of Ray Rice, he would have argued easily Roger Goodell is the worst commissioner in sports, and Adam Silver is the best. Shoes on the other foot.
You're right.
Roger Goodell has wholly turned that thing around.
I mean, unless they find actual federal crimes or whatever that have been committed in this, the story's like, in terms of how it's affected the league, it's largely insignificant, right? Like, you have a guy who refuses to play a lot of the time, who went to a team where he didn't really impact anything. They didn't win a championship or anything, and they circumvented a salary cap and, again, didn't really impact any of the results.
Well, it's up to the owners, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, big picture, it's not like, oh, now we need to strip a team of a title. This is the integrity of the game. Like, it hasn't really impacted results very much.
Right, like if they won a title, if they had any kind of actual success, I suppose there'd be a bigger outcry.
I think it depends on what the penalty is, guys. Like, I will.
We don't think there's going to be a big penalty, is what we're saying.
That's a big problem.
Okay, and maybe there won't be.
Sin.
Maybe there won't be a big penalty. I don't know that we can comment on this intelligently, though, until we see what all the reporting is and what the penalty is, because The Donald Sterling story was obviously a salacious, scandalous story because we had audio of racism at a time. Think of the time period this was. Like, race as subject matter was something that it mushroom clouded for reasons that have been happening in this country for the last 10 years at that time. And so you had the scandal there. But what made it the story that it became is, holy shit, a commissioner just came down and took somebody's team. Like, it was the penalty that made it mushroom into the larger story. When you guys talk about a commissioner doing a good job or not, what's the job? Because Goodell was seen as a clown, but was making money for the league. And Adam Silver, while not a clown, Adam Silver found a revenue source in streaming that didn't exist before, and the consequences, if not for streaming, maybe all those things you just mentioned would have actually hurt the dollars because fewer people were watching. But it doesn't matter. The teams are worth more than they've ever been, and the money is rolling in at an unprecedented number.
I don't think you can give them credit for finding streaming when I think they're last to the streaming rights fees. Now, streaming platforms have evolved and have increased resources and a higher priority on getting live sports rights, but the NFL was talking to streamers well before, and they had their deal with Prime and Netflix. The NHL, like their basically league pass package went to ESPN. MLB had Roku and Tubi. Yeah, we're doing the streaming thing again. They had exclusive, so I don't know how much credit you can give Adam Silver for finding this. But to your point, the saving grace for Roger Goodell when he was in the middle of the Ray Rice stuff and it legitimately felt like he was going to get fired was he kept raising the watermark in terms of rights and what the league was generating, and Adam Silver's done that.
I'm not giving Adam Silver credit for discovering streaming. I'm simply saying that by happenstance, an amount of money has appeared out of nowhere that makes it so that those owners are probably happy with the job Adam Silver's doing, because I will ask you guys again, what is the commissioner's primary job? Because I think we think of it as protect the league, protect the optics, protect the future of the league. And I think the owners say, no, how much cash are you making me right now? That's the number one job of Adam Silver.
No, you're right. I think the average sports fan thinks the commissioner's job is to be in charge of the league, to be like the law and order of the league and be in charge of making sure everything is fair and just. But in pro sports, it's literally the job of the commissioner just to make the owners
But few
money.
sports a decade ago were better positioned for global domination, like the NBA. And that stuff is cool. They've been slow on this expansion to Europe. I don't know if the same energy, because of the things that I outlined, style of play, load management. You don't know if you buy a ticket, you're going to see the stars playing. These are all newer things that have happened on Adam Silver's watch that David Stern, say what you will about the man, I don't think
he was the best.
He would not let this stuff happen when it came to, I buy a ticket to said game.
Yep.
I don't see start because of what? Because they're resting?
He was that commissioner that I just described we wish or thought that commissioner is supposed to be, the ones that keep the league in order and make sure that everything is on the up.
Popovich, I remember where that started. Popovich in Miami let his starters stay in San Antonio, and David Stern thundered in and corrected that. But this is an important distinction you guys are making between how it is that these leagues are led, because I would say that soon after on a commissioner's job, very soon after, on the priority list of make owners money, and David Stern did this very differently, and this has happened quietly under Adam Silver. The owners didn't feel like they were David Stern's boss. They are Adam Silver's boss. And the job of Adam Silver beyond making money is to be the protective buffer. This is all Goodell did at the beginning when there was chaos around him. Hey, make sure this doesn't get near Jerry Richardson. Make sure that none of this gets close to the money. Just take the hit as the leader of the league so that we're not yelling about any of the owners. Be the protective buffer on this. But here he's compromised, because this is an owner everyone loves, and this is an owner who is very much Adam Silver's boss. Like when Steve Ballmer returns Silver's calls a little more slowly than Silver returns Ballmer's calls. That's the way that relationship works.
Yeah.
The money is the power there, and part of the job is protect the owners from being seen as all of this. Protect all of the owners from being covered in the garbage. You take the hit on it.
I mean, it's very clear that Adam Silver is trailing on this story. His answers on it have been bad. When Deflategate is happening, or when the Stephen Ross tampering stuff is happening, Roger Goodell kind of sprang into action. You announce like this investigation panel, and I know that Adam Silver has done that, even though there's ambiguity surrounding that. But he wasn't saying quotes that made things worse. It's a challenge for him to navigate, and I don't think he's navigating it well.
When you say, Zaslow, that Adam Silver is full of crap, aren't we all, like actually, literally, aren't we all full of crap?
You're talking about the GI tract, yes.
I'm talking about how your back hurts when you take a big dump.
What?
That's never happened to me, unlike that caller.
I did like his accent, though. Yeah. I got to tell you, I do love that segment, Boldest Take. It's growing on me.